Well, hello there, everybody. As you can see, it is just me this week. All of the girls in my life decided to go see Taylor Swift down in Las Vegas this weekend. So it's just me uh, answering all your questions. So go ahead and start firing away with your questions. I have a few things to go over before we get to those. A couple of news things that we've been talking about lately. If you watch my video that I put out last week, I did a video about these people that built a house on a creek in Glacier Park, and been getting a lot of feedback on that, a lot of questions. The main one being a lot of people don't realize that you can build a excuse me, you can buy property in Glacier Park. Um, like I said in the video, I'm not sure how many other national parks you can do that in, but in Glacier, there's a bunch of land right around Lake McDonald. If you guys have ever been there, Lake McDonald is the first big lake you hit when you come in the west entrance in West Glacier. Um, and then right there, it's called Apgar Village, and there's all the businesses and hotels, and uh, there's some homes right in there, and then there's some cabins right along the lake, on that end of the lake, and those are all privately owned. And then if you go down to the other end of the lake, like there's a place called Kelly's Camp. There was a big fire down there a few years ago, but um, those are all private for the most part. There's a couple of ranger cabins and everything down at that other end, but um, oh, someone's saying they cannot hear me. What seems to be going on? Anybody else not hear me? Saying I have sound. Um, can you guys? Okay, and maybe it's just you, Marvin. Um, anyway, back to Glacier. Uh, yeah, there's a lot of private land around Lake McDonald, and so uh, that was the biggest question we got off of this whole thing about the people building on the river there. Um, but yes, you can buy property in Glacier Park. It doesn't come available very often, as you can imagine, because it's super valuable, and obviously the price of it goes or is sky high when it does come on the market, just because it's in Glacier Park, and there's very few lots that are uh, available to buy in there. So, anyway, those people built the house on the creek. If you watch my video, I went over all of this. They were told by the county they have to tear it down, but as I'm sure all of you can imagine, a bunch of lawyers are going to make money on this deal, I'm sure, before we have any resolution. But that's what's going on with that. Um, what else do I have here? Oh, Holland Lake. If you guys remember the video I did way back about the Holland Lake thing, um, a little bit of an update there. They're still waiting for a new application from this corporation out of Salt Lake, but John Tester, one of the Montana state senators, was all over the head of the Forest Service, like the head top guy at the U.S. Capitol the other day, about Holland Lake and the whole thing and how it was handled. And so that was kind of interesting to see that it's getting some national attention now. So again, that'll be another thing that I'm sure will be drawn out for a long time to come. Um, but that is the update on Holland Lake for the moment. There's been a lot of things locally with just our housing here in the valley and the lack thereof. And basically, it's all around Montana. There's ever since Rona hit a few years ago, it's been, a lot of people have moved up here, and our inventory has gone way down. So yeah, it because of that, it's keeping the prices high. I'm going to do a video on this in a couple weeks, um, about the prices and what's to come and what I foresee. But there's been, here's the problem, and I don't. If anybody has some ideas here, feel free to throw them in the comments because nobody seemed to have figured this out yet. But the dilemma we have is, like I said, there's a shortage of housing, and the problem is anytime somebody buys some land or tries to get some land to build a new subdivision or to build apartments or condos or whatever it may be, whether it's high-end stuff or even affordable stuff, everybody around that area doesn't want it. And so it's the battle between not in my backyard and we need housing. So kind of an interesting dilemma that is going to again play out for a long time. And again, if somebody ever came up with the answer, they would be a billionaire because nobody has it right now, and it's just constant arguing and constant you know subdivisions brought up to build, and then they get shot down, and it just goes on, kind of a continuous cycle. And that's where we are in this part of the state. And like I said, it's kind of all over Montana. um, what else? Oh, so please give me some feedback on this. I tried. This is kind of going into the YouTube thing a little bit, but YouTube has been pushing those short videos for a long time, and they've really started pushing them this year. So I thought, oh, I'll start doing some shorts. Well, I did, and my channel just got destroyed. It's not. I'm getting half the views that I was, the week before I started putting these shorts up. And I left them up for a little bit thinking that, they'll figure it out, but it just kept getting worse and worse. And it just, the algorithm figures out who's watching your channel. And apparently, the people that watch the short videos are not the same people that watch my channel. So my channel just went in the tank. It was amazing the difference in viewers from the minute I started posting those short videos until I ended up a week or so ago taking them all down and getting rid of them because it was just, like I said, destroying the channel. So I've decided to start a new channel that'll just be short videos, and it'll be more, it's not going to be specific to just only real estate. It'll be kind of behind the scenes. There'll definitely be real estate things in there because that's what I do. And those are the videos I go out and make. So I'll show some behind the scenes things. I'll just talk about other things around Montana, other things around this valley, other things around my house. So yeah, I'm going to do that. If you guys want to check it out, that'd be awesome. It's going to come online in about a week or so. I'll announce it when it does, but I'd appreciate you guys checking it out. And along those lines, TikTok, uh, the Montana legislature, we talked about this in the last live, is meeting right now. It meets once every 2 years. So uh, they're meeting right now, and one of the bills they're pushing through is to ban TikTok because of the whole Chinese thing, and they might be spying on us and all of that. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's probably something to that, but if they do get rid of TikTok, then I'm guessing YouTube's really the shorts on YouTube are really going to take off since YouTube won't be a thing anymore. But anyway, that'll be another interesting thing to see what happens. So let me see. Thanks for everybody for joining. Got a lot of people in here now. Let's go through some of these questions. Greetings from Florida, Will and Hillary. Hillary is not here. Like I said, I don't know if you guys were on earlier. Hillary and my wife and my daughter, they're all down in Vegas. They went to see Taylor Swift last night. So it's just me today. You're stuck with me. Anyway, Luis, looking forward to visiting your state. I'm also scoping a few areas to move into by the end of the year. Well, let us know if we can help. We're here. And for any of you guys visiting, whether you're here to buy something or whatever, if you happen to be in Whitefish and you see our office, stop in and say hello. We'd love to meet you guys. Um, let's see, John. John from Missouri. How does the housing market look this spring compared to last year's prices availability? It's a little bit better because of the interest rates. It's slowed down a bit. The sellers, a lot of them still think the prices are what they were a year ago. And so there's a lot of overpriced things right now. But the prices still are hanging in there um, just because of our lack of inventory. But compared to last spring, there is a little more availability right now. So if anybody wants a link to our MLS, we got a new MLS, we got a new app for the phone, which I've gotten nothing but great feedback on. If you guys want that, I'll put up, let me get rid of this one and put up this one here. Oops, let me see. Sorry, it's a little more going on with just me. If you guys want, you can either text that number or email us at that address, and I will send out that app for the new MLS. It's really good and easy to use, and you can text me right through it. And if something pops up that you like, you can favorite it, and I can see what you favorited. So we'll be on the same page when we talk. So it's kind of a handy tool to have. Let's see. In Big Fork for the weekend, house and animal sitting for our son right on Flathead Lake. Nice. That is a good place to be. It's not really that warm yet, but I was down in Big Fork today looking at a place for one of my clients, and I noticed that most of the snow is gone down in Big Fork right now. So um, it's definitely turning into spring. Ingrid, does the lack of local sentiment for new housing also extend to building a single family residence? No, I mean, there's still plenty of lots for sale. And there's people building. It's just, when somebody wants to go in and do a whole subdivision, people get annoyed because, nobody wants a whole bunch of houses right behind them, especially if they built a house and they have, straight views like what you have behind me. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of people or a subdivision goes in there and you can't see that view anymore. That's basically what it comes down to. A lot of people move to Montana because they want the wide open and they want to be away from people. And then all of a sudden, you've got a subdivision coming in behind you, and so it just makes everybody mad. But there's got to be some give and take because right now it's just at a standstill and nobody's winning. So let's see. Is Tester for against developing Holland Lake? What Tester was saying was when if you remember the video I did a while back, um, this company came in and the Forest Service was trying to push this huge development through with it's called a categorical exclusion, which means they don't do all the studies and they don't, you know, see how it's going to affect the lake, and they're putting in a whole new sewage system, and they were just going to push it all through without doing uh, any of the tests, and they were trying to get it through real quick. And that's what Tester was talking about, is that uh, they shouldn't, a categorical exclusion, from what I've learned through all of this, was put in for, you don't need, if you're, rebuilding an outhouse in one of the campgrounds, or painting some buildings or things like that. Obviously, you don't need a whole environmental study on things like that. And that's why they put that in, because basically you need approval whenever you do any kind of work on Forest Service land. And so they put these exclusions in for little projects like that, not for, this thing is they're building 32 buildings, and like I said, putting in a whole sewer system and a new restaurant on the lake and a lodge on the lake. And it is a big resort they're planning there. And it definitely needs a little more uh, study, or testing before they approve something like that. Let's see. Who moves to Montana wants to be away from people and not live in a subdivision. They want privacy. Yeah, and that's the problem. Nobody wants anything behind them, uh, and here we are. But the same people that don't want anyone behind them get mad that none of the restaurants are open 7 days a week anymore because they can't find workers, and nobody can afford to live here because there's no housing, which makes the few houses there are go way up in price. So that would be the dilemma. Dale, everyone hit the like button. Help. Yes, I agree. Thank you for that. Um, Good night, TikTok. Yeah, we'll see. That'll be interesting to see what happens. It's funny is TikTok is spending a ton of money. I get the electronic version of the Missoula paper every day, and they're putting in full page ads in the Missoula paper pretty much daily, uh, obviously against this bill that's going through. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, and I will keep you guys all posted. Let's see. What do you think about investing in Livingston? Is it a good investment? Yes. You know what? Investing anywhere in Montana is a good investment. If you look at our charts, I'm not able to put it up right now, but since 2009, our prices and the value of property here has been going up. It's never really come down. Since 2008, the values have gone up, and then with Rona and Yellowstone and everything else, people wanting to get out of the cities, they just continue. This is a place people want to be. So whether it's Livingston or this area or pretty much anywhere in Montana, I don't think is a bad investment right now. Let's see. Thank you for clarifying the single residence being built on a parcel is still occurring. Yes. Darren, do you anticipate a stronger supply of land and single-family homes hitting the market in the coming months when companies to the same time last year? I'm guessing you meant compared to the same time last year. Yeah, I do. You know, there's more coming on already that I've noticed. Um, as far as land doesn't, you know, land is a little slower than homes as far as new things coming on the market, but there's definitely more land that uh, comes on. Everything, we get a lot of listings in the springtime, starting in April here. Uh, so yes, that I definitely see that happening in the next month or so. So again, if you guys want to get in and be able to follow closely, set up searches, all of that, I'd be happy to send you the new app for your phone. Like I said, it's really easy to use and very helpful. John Thomas, I know you said you have a lot of overpriced homes right now. Are owners more willing to negotiate on price, or are they sticking to their prices? It's funny. We just had a listing go off the market because they just refused to come down in price, and they think that they're going to get that price, and you know, it may happen by the end of this year. Again, who knows what's going to happen with, national politics, foreign policy, whatever is going to affect the market in the coming months, the rest of the year. But yes, on the other hand, we've put in offers for people, and owners are willing now to take. It's not the seller's market that it was a year ago. They are working with buyers more. I've seen people even take contracts or agree to contracts where the guy has to sell his house. So that was unheard of for the last few years, but we're definitely getting more people that are willing to work with buyers, which is good for all of you guys that are looking to buy. So yeah, people are being more creative, and it's an individual. It goes by a case basis. Just depends on the seller's situation, if they have to move out of town for a job or family or whatever the reason is, and they got to get out of their house quicker. Yeah, they'll definitely work on price, and then like the person I was talking about earlier, they don't have to sell, so they're just going to sit on it and wait until the prices come back to what they want. Um, and so you're going to find all kinds of people, and everybody's a little different, and everybody has their own situation they're dealing with, and so you really can't put a general tag on that. It'll just come down to each individual house. Let's see. Does Montana have a drought problem like most of the Mountain West? Not really. We don't. Maybe over in eastern Montana in a couple areas, but I think for the most part, our state is in good shape as far as drought goes. I was looking at the snowpack um, measurements the other day around the state, and there was, I didn't see really anything under 100%. It's funny, most all those big storms that hit the west this year, kind of, we're up in the northwest corner of Montana, and most of those storms came down south of us. So the southern part of the state, their snowpack is way higher than ours is right now, but ours is still pretty close to normal. Um, it might be a little under, but it's not like we don't have any snow in the mountains, and there's still snow on the ground. There's been a lot of years where I've been out. I've already raked the yard for the spring, and but there's still piles of snow out there where the plow has pushed it around, and um, so yeah, I think as far as the drought goes, we're in good shape here. We're almost getting to the bottom of the question, so if anybody has others, fire away so we don't have to cut this off. Here's one more. Is the job market still strong in Western Montana and around Bozeman? I can't answer Bozeman, but I would assume that uh, Bozeman is just like it is here. So yes, there's plenty of jobs here. There's a help wanted sign on pretty much every business. The problem again is the housing, and if they're paying minimum wage, it's hard for people to find housing that it can afford to live nearby some of these resort towns and make that kind of money. So again, another dilemma that falls into the housing market, but yes, the job market is still strong. Let's see. Games Tech 101. Good afternoon. If I manage to get residency, it will be about 2 weeks before I move. Giving my resignation notice to my current job, will Montana tax me for those 2 weeks of work as well as Florida? I don't. Um, you'll be taxed in Montana when you work in Montana. Um, I don't know how. I'm not sure what exactly how that would work. I'm not a tax guy, but so I would assume that if you're working in Montana, Montana's gonna tax you for any time you're working in Montana, whether you're here or not. If you're getting paid from Montana, as far as the Florida thing, I don't know. So sorry about that. I had somebody email me the other day some tax questions too, and I am not a tax guy. I have a tax guy just for that reason. So um, that is what I know there. John, thank you. Love the channel. Visiting in April. Great. Stop by and say hello. Summer. Do many people commute from Eureka to Whitefish or Kalispell to work? That's that it can be done. If you're going all the way to Kalispell from Eureka, you're looking at a solid hour. If you're going to Whitefish, it's about 40 minutes, and that's with perfect roads. If you're doing that in the winter, that can be kind of an ugly commute. But I do know of some people that do that. Most people there's a bunch of homes and nice areas between Whitefish and Eureka along the river there, and there's some lakes in there, and there's some nice places around there. And so the people that I know are commuting from those areas, not all the way in Eureka. But yeah, I mean, it can definitely be done. I just, like I said, in the winter, I wouldn't want to do that because there's a couple of snow belts in there that they get a ton of snow and the roads can get pretty dicey, and there's not cell service for most of that drive. So if you go back to some of the videos I did about winter driving around here, that's one thing you need to beware of, is that there's a lot of areas that don't have cell service. So if you end up in the ditch or you have car problems, you can get yourself in trouble. So that would be, safety would be my biggest concern about commuting from Eureka and commuting that far. So Mielmar, is there in Montana any job for ski instructors? Yes. There's all kinds. There's all kinds of ski resorts all around Montana, and I know they're always looking for good instructors. So I can definitely answer that. Question. So when's the crash coming, and is the market dipping or rising right now? You must be watching all those other channels that make their living off of predicting this crash. In fact, I was looking at some of these guys that like that Graham Stephan, he's got millions of subscribers. And I was just curious about, how long he's predicting this crash. And it's been 2 years. So I guess every week, if you do a video, or twice a week, whatever he does them about, the world's going to end and the crash is coming, I suppose eventually you'll be right. But he's been predicting this for 2 years now. I don't think we're having one. This is nothing like 2008. Are things going to slow down, or are things slowing down? For sure. But I don't think this is going to be anything like 2008. As far as our market right now, our market's doing fine. It's a little slower than it was last year, but that's mainly because of the interest rates. But we're still, we put in an offer for a guy about a month ago, and there were 10 offers on a house. So there's still demand here. Real estate is hyper local. So you can't look at these national, either YouTube channels or national news, where they're predicting or saying that, oh, the market's horrible. Well, they may be talking about, Topeka, Kansas, or somewhere like that. I don't know. But here, the market is doing just fine, and there's still demand, and buyers or sellers are still getting very good money for their houses. So that is my answer to that. And that's kind of a little hot button for me, these YouTube guys that every single, I don't know why people would want to watch that every week. I mean, I guess if you want to be depressed, and there's plenty of videos out there for predicting the worst case scenario and everything. There's another gal that it always cracks me up too. For, I don't know, 5 years now, I think she's been predicting that the Yellowstone volcano is going to go off. And again, she's got tons of subscribers, and people just, they eat that up. So I don't know. Maybe I should start doing doom and gloom stuff to get more subscribers, because obviously people are buying into that and following these guys along. So all right, enough on that. What is the water quality for Kalispell and Whitefish? Is the water pulled from Flathead Lake? No. The water quality is great, but most of the water comes from wells. And, some people down south of Kalispell will get their water, from the lake, but mainly 99% of the water here is from wells. And, the water quality is great. Let's see. Are there any homes and developments in Flathead County with 4-acre lots around the $1 million price point? Yeah, there are. I can't think of uh, any names of subdivisions right offhand, but if you want to email me, let me put it up here. I can send you what is available. And let me put your question back up. Oh, I took it away. Anyway, if you look at all the information down below in this video, you can contact us that way. But yes, there are homes in that price range, and I'd be happy to send those to you. Let's see. Let you know about a month that some taxable change if I find rent. Thanks for the info you and your team have given. Thanks for watching. Here we go. Good point. Do you think the show Yellowstone is the cause for increase in new people moving to Montana and the tourism? For sure. Yellowstone brought in a bunch of people. Montana got a lot of publicity during all of that. And so, yeah, definitely had an effect on our state. People love fear. Yep. That, like I said, I find it thoroughly annoying when I look at these. In fact, I'm thinking about doing a video in a couple weeks about this. I just the thumbnails and the horror that on these people's faces, it just cracks me up that they do these thumbnails where they're just like, screaming in fear and there's fire behind them, and it's just I don't know. That's one of my hot buttons. Sorry, I just get worked up about that. What's the weather looking like this week? Currently in Idaho, heading for Billings and Kalispell. Thanks again for the channel. Missing all three of you today. Yes, I am missing them as well. The weather looks pretty good. I know that I just read an article. Billings, that area got hammered with a big snowstorm yesterday. But they get a lot warmer, so I'm sure by next week or whenever you're going over there, it should be fine. But yeah, they got quite a bit of snow. This week it's in the 40s here all week, mid to upper 40s, so we're definitely getting warmer. And yeah, weather's good. Let's see. Have you seen bears yet? I have not seen any, but I've in the paper. There's been reports of some. Some people have posted on Facebook. Some people have a lot of people that live out in the country or up by the mountains or in the mountains have those trail cameras, and so a lot of people have been posting the bears are coming out now. It is about that time of year, so if you're out traipsing around in the woods, it might be time to grab the bear spray again, just to be safe. So if it bleeds, it leads. That's why people tune into doom sellers. Yeah, I guess you're right. Let's see. Visiting in early June. Is the weather typically nice in early June? Yeah, it can be still kind of hit and miss then. The later you get in June, the better your odds are. Sometimes we'll still get the rains in June, but it should be nice. It'll definitely be warm. We won't have snow, but you might see a little rain at that time, and that is the time of Hillary's wedding. So everybody needs to hope for the best there, and hope for a nice day for her on that. Is there a market for recreational land in Montana? I've been thinking about buying land for fishing and hunting trips when I retire. For sure. I mean, Montana is all about recreation and hunting and fishing. And so, yes, there's definitely a market for that. So let's see. My thumbnail is my house in the Bitterroot. Nice. Let's see. Headed back home to Montana the end of next month, and my husband is back. Excited to get there. Yep, I bet. Let's see. Next one. How often do people get attacked by bears in Glacier Park? I don't know. I'm trying to remember if there was anybody that got attacked last year. Uh, I don't recall anything. There may have been a few. I don't recall any bad ones. But usually there's a couple every year, and not always in the park, but in our area. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely something you have to be aware of. Uh, you know, people I think get more scared than they should. We definitely have bears here, and you definitely need to be aware of that. But you know, the bears, they don't want, they want less to do with you than you want to do with them. So that 9 times out of 10, they're going to take off if they hear you coming or if they smell you or see you. They don't want anything to do with you. The problem when people get attacked 9 times out of 10 is when you stumble across a female and cubs. That is not that is not a good thing to do. Obviously, you don't have control over that. Nobody tries to do that on purpose, but that's why you need bear spray because the mom will come after you. Um, but the bear spray definitely works. I've read all kinds of stories, and I've actually talked to people that have been attacked by a bear. I knew a guy that it happened while he was out hunting. But yeah, the bear spray worked. But so yeah, I hopefully nobody nobody gets attacked this year, but usually there's a couple of incidents every year. Let's see. Any good rodeos around the Missoula Whitefish area? Yeah, there's I know there's a professional one down in Big Fork, right around it's in July sometime. I don't think it's 4th of July weekend, but it's right around there. Um, Whitefish, we don't really have a rodeo in Whitefish, but there's a rodeo every week over in Columbia Falls. There's rodeos down in Kalispell at the arena down there. There's a rodeo during the county fair that's in Kalispell. And I know there's one for the Missoula Fair as well. So I think Montana, I'm not a rodeo guy, but I've gone to some and I've read that Montana is, I think Montana and Texas are the only states in the country that have a whole circuit where people can, the cowboys can stay within the state for the whole year because there's a rodeo every weekend somewhere in Montana or somewhere in Texas. So you can definitely find rodeos all over Montana. Are there any tiny home communities that you know of? If so, where? No, Peggy, there are not that I know of. Um, it's interesting that ever since the tiny home thing kind of became a thing, Montana's, I don't know how we compare to other states. I'm guessing we're behind the times, but um, the local governments are trying to catch up and figure out how to regulate them. And again, it's kind of like the subdivision deal. If someone has an empty lot in town, I'm guessing their neighbor's not going to want five little houses stuck in their backyard. And that's the dilemma. So I think it's coming, but I think there's still a ways to go, just trying to figure out how to regulate it and how to keep everyone happy. That's the story with everything around here right now. Let's see. Rodeos in Plains, Montana in August. I'm sure there is. I don't know, but yeah. Does the Kyla area tend to keep longer winters or snow versus Kalispell? Is west of Kalispell stay colder longer? It depends how far west you go, but pretty much, from Kalispell all the way to Libby is pretty similar. I don't really know of any little pockets of warm or cold. I know that once you get just past Libby and to Troy, which is down the hill, down along the river, it's warmer there. But when I say warmer, it's not like people are golfing out there in January. It's warmer. They don't get as much snow. It's kind of like Eureka. It's warmer than here. It doesn't get as much snow, but it's still definitely winter. And they do get snow, just not as much. So um as far as longer winters, it depends on your what your definition of like this time of year is. It still winter or is it spring? Who knows? There's still snow on the ground, but it's not the bitter cold anymore. We're getting up in the 40s during the day and down in the 20s at night. So we're starting to slowly warm up, but Kyla, again, west of Kalispell all the way to Eureka or to Libby is pretty much the same. So I hope that answers that question. Kyle, how can I capitalize on first-time homebuyer benefits? Well, there are different types of loans you can use. In the different cities, there are different kinds of programs that they all have. If you want to contact us, we'd be happy to help you. It just depends, again, where you're going to buy. The different cities have different programs. The state has programs. Mainly, the big thing I see is the different types of loans that are that help you. They're much lower down payments, and they help with the interest rate sometimes. So yeah, there's all kinds of things. I would say the first thing you should do is talk to a lender and figure out your finances. And I can point you in the right direction. I don't, when people call me and say, "Hey, this is my credit score and, here's how much I make." I don't want to know that. I don't have the answers to what you can afford. You need to call a lender, and they'll go over all that with you. They'll look at your savings. They'll look at your income, how long you've lived wherever you've been, how long you've been in the job you've been in, and they take all that into consideration. And all that will play into the type of loan you can get and how much benefit you will get from these first time home buyer programs. So I hope that helps. Also, do home builders seem to still be behind? Have you heard from builders still having a backlog? Yeah, I mean, the good builders are still busy. Most builders are still busy. We had such a backup that it wasn't, even if the economy just crashed tomorrow, there's still, a lot of houses that just got going, a lot of houses they've been working on. So none of the builders are, sitting around twiddling their thumbs. I know that they've had some cancellations because of interest rates. So there are opportunities if you're looking to buy or build a house that weren't available a year or so ago. I mean, the builders were all a year or two out. Now you can get on more of a normal schedule. So again, good news for somebody looking to build a house. Let's see. Any natural disasters to keep in mind in Western Montana around the Missoula area? It's interesting. We don't have, excuse me, we don't have many natural disasters here aside from, I would say winter weather is the worst thing. We can get earthquakes here, but they're very rare. Uh, I've lived here for over 20 years now, and I've felt one earthquake, and it was, like a 4-pointer that hit 200 miles from here. So it was barely moving here. You could feel it, but it wasn't bad at all. Um, if you want to get back to the doom and gloom, that lady that is predicting the Yellowstone volcano going off, that would not be good. That would be quite the natural disaster. But again, I don't think we have to worry about that. So yeah, we don't get tornadoes in this part of the state. Not that there's never been them, but they're not a regular occurrence. It's just regular winter weather is probably the worst natural thing we get here. Uh, I guess forest fires, if you want to call, I guess that's a natural disaster. But again, the forest fires, knock on wood, we haven't had anything like they had in California where it's wiped out towns. We have so much open land or empty land, Forest Service land, and that's normally where the fires are. We'll get the smoke from them, but when you're especially if you're in a big town like Missoula, uh, there's not gonna be a fire that wipes out Missoula. That would be that would be something. I don't think that could ever happen. So, um, yeah, that's my natural disaster talk. How hard is it to get fire insurance? Well, Mike, that interesting you bring that up. I'm going to do a video here in a month or so. Uh, I've got a friend who sells insurance, and I had him on. I did a video with him last year. If you want to look back at that, and we discussed insurance and what goes into it. They're changing rules. It can be hard in some areas. It just depends where you're buying. If you're in town, it's not a big deal. But if you're way out, they go off of, if I remember correctly, they go off of how far you are to a fire department, how far you are to water, uh, where the roads, how hard it is to get to your house if there were a fire, things like that. So it's hard to answer that in a basic answer. So stay tuned. There's videos coming about fire insurance. Let's see. Make Hillary do the next few videos for missing this live. I will pass that along to, as I've been calling her, Vacation Girl. Um, I'll let her know you said that, and I've been telling her the same thing because I mean, you guys would like that anyway, so we'll have to make that happen. So, um, that's good to hear. Here in South Florida, we have hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, and West Coast tourists. Well, the West Coast tourists, I guess that I don't know if they fall into the natural disaster category yet, but possibly. You would probably get some locals that would argue that that is a natural disaster. Um, let's see. Best rodeo is Lewis and Clark Stampede. All right. I'll take your word for it. I do not know. Do you think global warming is affecting Montana? I don't know. Obviously, things are changing, but the weather always changes. Cool. I don't want to get into the whole global warming thing. I mean, obviously the climate is changing, but um, that's a whole I'm sure there are plenty of channels that will discuss that. Um, so that's all I have to say there. Anyway, we are at the bottom of the questions already. So, like I was telling everybody earlier, if you want uh, our app or you want the link to get into our MLS to look at the houses that are for sale, there's the information, and you can contact us at any time, and we will hook you up. Rocky Mountain guy. You're going to do hockey videos on the other channel. Well, I have a game tonight. It's the playoffs. Uh, Big night. So maybe I should film it. If we weren't so bad, I would, but it'd be pretty embarrassing. We're a bunch of old guys that we still think we're good, and we're out there. When we're out there playing, we think we're going fast. But I've watched, I don't know if I told this story before, but we played in a tournament down in Missoula. Um, and the team we played against was sponsored by this bar, and so after the game they had us go down to the bar, and they had pizza and beer, and they had videoed our game, and they put it up on the big screen, and we made them turn it off because we didn't want the other people in the bar realizing that it was us that were on the screen, because it looked nothing like the NHL does on TV. So but anyway, it's good times, a lot of fun, good group of guys. So I will continue doing it as long as I'm physically able. And with that, that's the end. No more questions. But thanks everybody for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks, and we will make sure I have help, whether it's Hillary or my wife. There will be more people here next time. And I hope I answered all your questions. And please contact us if you want to get a link to our MLS. And we'll see everybody in a couple weeks. Thank you.